So this video is going to document the reassembly of my wheel hub and brake caliper. I'm sort of starting in the middle here because I didn't have a camera when I started this project. My old camera died and the new one just came in. So I'll try and go through the disassembly process here a little bit. The first thing I did was remove the wheel and set that aside. Then the next thing I did was, before removing the brake caliper, I went into the truck and I wedged the brake pedal with a pipe so that the brakes were holding. And then I got my 32mm socket and a breaker bar and removed the axle nut. Well, actually, first there's a cotter pin that goes in here. So remove the cotter pin and this outer lock nut sort of thing, dust cap, and then 32mm socket on this with a breaker bar with the brakes wedged, and I was able to back this off. You could probably also use an impact wrench, or maybe even somehow wedge the old studs with a crowbar or tire iron or something like that. But the key is that this is a 32mm socket or nut. So back that off, and then the next thing I needed to do was remove the brake caliper. The brake caliper on my truck is held in with these bolts, which are a 7/32 Allen head, and the threads happen to be a 9mm by 1.25mm pitch. I had a little complication on this one, as the top caliper bolt, the head of the bolt stripped on me, the Allen head stripped when I was trying to remove it. So I ended up having to cut part of the caliper boot away, and I was able to get a pair of vice grips on there and back it out that way. So when I reassemble, I need to use these new caliper pins, which use a 7mm head. It's a little more robust, a little bigger, a little deeper, so hopefully it won't strip out as easy next time I go to remove it. But the same 9mm by 1.25mm pitch thread. So then, after the caliper was removed and up out of the way, removed the brake rotor and set that aside, and then it was time to remove the actual hub, the old hub. And the way I did that was I just kind of beat on it with a sledgehammer. I wasn't really interested in saving it. There's the old one. The bearing inside was bad, and since I had bought a whole new hub, I didn't need to worry about keeping the old one. So I just gave it some good whacks, and it popped out of the housing. The unfortunate side effect was that I was a little careless with the hammer, and I ended up hitting the top brake caliper mounting ear, and it's not real visible here, but I ended up sort of mushrooming the back of it, which had the unfortunate effect of closing down the hole a little bit on the outside. So I ended up having to get a 9mm by 1.25 thread pitch tap to kind of clean out that the backside of that hole there, so I could get my caliper pin threaded in. That wasn't an easy tool to find. I ended up having to order that through Napa. Nobody in my local area had it. So anyway, I was able to clean that out. The new caliper pin threads in there pretty nicely now, so that's not going to be an issue. They do sell an oversized caliper pin. Well, actually, this part of it is the same diameter and length, but the threads are a little oversized. So if you were to happen to strip these out, you can kind of drill that out. And the new caliper pins are self-tapping, a little bit bigger thread. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but you can get that and use those if need be. So anyway, once that was all removed, before removing the hub, I had to remove 3 bolts. There are 3 bolts that hold the hub on in the back, and those I was able to remove with just a breaker bar also. Took a little force, but not undoable. Don't remember exactly what size bolt that is. I know it was metric, but was able to just pull that right off. Okay, so after that was all set, I was able to reassemble everything. I slid the new new wheel hub over the axle and made sure the splines were all aligned. As you can see, there's splines in there, which is typical of any sort of drive axle. Got that all lined up and set the bearing in there, or the hub in there, and reinstalled the three 9/16 bolts. And I didn't torque them down to any specific torque. I suppose there is probably a recommended torque in the service manual, but I just I torqued them up not overly tight, but tight enough so that I didn't feel they were going to back out. So that's where I'm at now. The next step is for me to install new rubber bushings into the caliper because I had to cut the old ones in order to get that one stuck caliper pin off. So the way I did that was I just cleaned out the holes with a wire brush to get rid of the rust, and then squirted some WD-40 in there to get everything nice and slippery. And then I was just able to kind of wiggle the boot in, sort of in a spiral type motion, and pushed it through the hole and made sure that this sort of flange popped out the other side and seated against the back side of the caliper. This is what they look like, the raw boot. Because I changed the ones on this side, I'm going to go ahead and replace these on the other side as well, just to make sure that the brakes work evenly. The caliper pins on this side were pretty dry, and it seemed to me that it would be a good idea to have everything equal. If the other side is also dry and this one is brand new and lubed, then this side is going to work a lot better than the other, and the brakes would probably pull. So if you're doing something like this, it's probably a good idea to change both sides. Probably a good idea to do the wheel bearing on both sides as well, but I'm opting not to do that at the moment. Okay, so I got the brake caliper back on along with the rotor. You can put the rotor on before you put the caliper on. Helps. And both brake pads. And just slide those caliper bolts I've been talking about in. Make sure they're greased and tighten them up. I didn't tighten those to any specific torque either. But I did put the hub nut back on, and that's just finger tight right now, so I'm going to go ahead and get my torque wrench. I just checked the manual, and I need to tighten that up to 180 foot-pounds or 240 newton meters. So I'll go find my torque wrench and see if it's metric or if it's SIE. I don't know which it is. Okay, so I went ahead and got the brake jammed on with a pipe up against the seat inside, and I got my torque wrench calibrated to 180 foot-pounds, and I'm going to go ahead and see if we can get this baby torqued up. One thing I may need to do is spin the wheel here so I can get some better leverage. Okay, we'll try this now with the wheel in a little bit better spot. That ought to do it. Yep, right there. Okay. Okay, so I got the safety nut and the cotter pin on. Now the last thing you need to do is put the metal brace back on the caliper there, the outer caliper. I ended up getting a new one with those rubber bushings, so I'll go ahead and put that on, and then put the wheel on and clean up some of this mess here, all these tools and supplies and things to put away, and then I'll take her for a ride before I swap those caliper pins on the other side.